Yeah, good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss about the lecture 35, and the topic is jaundice. Jaundice, also known as icterus, is a yellowish or greenish pigmentation of the skin and whites of the eyes due to high bilirubin levels. So it is commonly associated with itchiness. The feces may pale and the urine may become dark. The jaundice in babies occurs in over half in the first week following birth, and in most it is not a problem. If bilirubin level in babies are very high for too long, then a type of brain damage can take place, and that is known as kernicterus can happen. So jaundice is a condition where the level of bilirubin increases in the body, and because of the increased bilirubin levels, the skin can become yellow or white of the eyes, that is also called as sclera, can become yellow in color. And even the bilirubin level in the brain, if it is going to increase, especially in the children, then it leads to a condition known as kernicterus. So jaundice is just because of the bilirubin levels increases, and we know that this bilirubin comes through the metabolism of heme parts of hemoglobin. Then what are the signs and symptoms of jaundice? The main sign of jaundice is yellowish discoloration of white area of the eye and the skin. That white area of the eye and the skin become yellow. Urine is dark in color. Then slight increase in serum bilirubin are best detected by examining the sclera, which have a particular affinity for bilirubin due to their high elastin content. So this sclera is having high elastin content, and because of this high elastin content, it is having high affinity towards the bilirubin. That's why the white of the eyes, because of its high elastin contents, it become yellow. The presence of sclera icterus indicates a serum bilirubin of at least 3 mg per deciliter. So if the bilirubin level, if you are having this sclera icterus, then it is understand that the bilirubin level is 3 mg per deciliter. Then conjunctiva of the eyes is one of the first tissues to change color as bilirubin levels rise in jaundice. So once the bilirubin levels is increasing, the conjunctiva of the eye is the first tissues which is changing the color. This is sometimes referred to as scleral icterus. So because of that also, yellow color of the white of the eyes, that is sclera, it is also called scleral icterus. However, the sclera themselves are not icteric, stained with bilipigment, but rather the conjunctival membranes that overlie them. So it is actually the conjunctiva membrane which overlie this sclera, they become yellow. That's why this white of the eye looks yellowish in color. Yellowing of the white of the eye is thus more properly termed as conjunctival icterus, because it is the conjunctival membrane which actually becomes yellow, and that's why the white of the eye looks yellow in color. So the term icterus itself is sometimes incorrectly used to refer to jaundice that is noted in the sclera of the eye. So sometimes icterus word is wrongly used instead of jaundice. Actually icterus is mainly used for the yellowing of sclera of the eye, and jaundice word is generally used for the yellowing of the skin. However, it is more common and more correct meaning is entirely synonymous with jaundice. So it is Icterus word is synonyms with the jaundice. Then we have a type of jaundice. First is prehepatic, second is hepatocellular, third is post-hepatic, and fourth is neonatal jaundice. So the first is prehepatic jaundice. In this, the jaundice is taking place because of the any problems which arises just before the liver, like hepaticular jaundice is caused by anything which causes an increased rate of hemolysis, that is the breakdown of RBC. So this reason is not related with the liver, so that's why it is called as prehepatic. And anything which increases the breakdown of RBC, that is called as hemolysis, can lead to, because once the breakdown of RBC take place, then it releases hemoglobin, and once the hemoglobin metabolism take place, then we get heme and globin. So globin is a protein component which after metabolism release amino acids and which go for recycling. And but the heme part, when it goes for metabolism, then it gives bilirubin. That is, unconjugated bilirubins comes from the breakdown of the heme pigments found in the red blood cells hemoglobin. So that is prehepatic jaundice. The jaundice which is taking place because of the increased breakdown of RBC is known as prehepatic jaundice. Then we have hepatocellular jaundice, that is also called as hepatic jaundice. Can be caused by acute or chronic hepatitis, hepatotoxicity, cirrhosis, drug-induced hepatitis, and alcohol liver disease. So these all are the problems associated with the liver. That is, inflammation of the liver is hepatitis, and some kind of toxicity in the liver is hepatotoxicity. Then that one more liver disease, that is cirrhosis, drug-induced hepatitis, and alcoholic liver disease. All these conditions where the function of the liver is going to decline, and we know that the liver perform important functions where unconjugated bilirubin gets converted into conjugated bilirubin. So that is not going to happen, and the level of the bilirubin is going to increase and leads to jaundice known as hepatocellular jaundice. Cell necrosis reduces the liver's ability to metabolize and excrete bilirubin, leading to a buildup of unconjugated bilirubin in the blood. So because of there is a problem in the liver, and because of that unconjugated bilirubin is not able to convert into conjugated bilirubin, and that's why the level of unconjugated bilirubin in the blood is increased. So this is because of the problem in the liver, that's why it is called as hepatocellular jaundice. Then we have post-hepatic jaundice, then anything regions which lies after the jaundice, after the liver, like any kind of obstruction in the bile duct. So post-hepatic jaundice, also called as obstructive jaundice, is caused by an interruption to the drainage of bile containing conjugated bilirubin in the biliary system. So through this biliary duct, the liver releases conjugated bilirubin, which goes to the duodenum. And if there is any obstruction in this bile duct, then this conjugated bilirubins will not able to come out from the liver to the duodenums, and the level of the bilirubins keeps on increasing, and that leads to post-hepatic jaundice. The most common cause are gallstones in the common bile duct and pancreatic cancer in the head of pancreas. So if you have gallstones in the bile duct, then that conjugated bilirubins will not able to come to the duodenums, and the level of bilirubin keeps on increasing, and it can lead to post-hepatic jaundice. Then we have neonatal jaundice. Now, the fourth type of jaundice is called as neonatal jaundice, and it is usually harmless, and this condition is seen in infants around the second day after the birth, and can last up to 8 days in normal birth, or it may be last up to 14 days in premature birth. So that's not a problem. So since it happens in the infants, that's why it is called as neonatal jaundice. So we have four types of jaundice: pre-hepatic, hepatocellular, post-hepatic, and neonatal jaundice. Now the next is pathogenesis of this is jaundice. So for that we'll first discuss this flow chart where what happened. RBC, when it's breakdown, it releases bilirubin, and bilirubin joins with the albumins of the blood, and bilirubin plus albumin, that bilirubin is actually unconjugated. Okay, and in the blood it binds with the albumins, and through that it goes to the liver, and in the liver bilirubin release from the albumins combined with the glucuronic acid conjugated. Okay, then it combines with the glucuronic acid, and this then after conjugation with the glucuronic acid, now it becomes conjugated bilirubin, and this conjugated bilirubin can go to the intestine in the body, and intestine bilirubin is converted to urobilinogen, and this from intestine it can excreted into the stool, and in blood stream it can go to the kidney and it can excrete in urine. So this is actually the concept of the metabolism of bilirubin. So this bilirubin comes through the part of the RBC, then it metabolizes to become unconjugated bilirubin, then it goes to the liver, convert into the conjugated bilirubin, then it goes to the liver, and through this it goes out of the body. So if there is any problem in the steps of the metabolism of bilirubin and its excretion, then the level of bilirubin keeps increasing in the body, and that can lead to jaundice. So here one more flow chart is there where we are telling the destruction of senescent and red cells, that is ineffective erythropoiesis leads release of heme. Then heme will be acted upon by the enzymes heme oxygenase, and it heme converts into biliverdin, and biliverdin then it is acted upon by the enzyme biliverdin reductase. Then biliverdin will be converted into bilirubin, that is unconjugated, and this unconjugated bilirubins binds with the albumins present in the blood plasma. Then this albumin take this unconjugated bilirubin to the liver, and that is hepatocyte, and inside this liver unconjugated bilirubin combined with the glutathione as transferase, and bilirubin UDP glucuronide transferase, then it will be converted into bilirubin monoglucuronide, and bilirubin monoglucuronide then convert into bilirubin diglucuronide, that is BMG, bilirubin monoglucuronide, and bilirubin and diglucuronide, that is BDG. So that's why unconjugated bilirubin is converted into conjugated bilirubin, and that after this it goes to the intestine via bile, and in the intestine again its metabolism take place. So one more things you can see here, the erythrocyte RBC, when it's break down by macrophage of the reticuloendothelial system of spleen and bone marrow, then it releases heme, then heme is metabolized and it gives biliverdin, and biliverdin then gives bilirubin, that is an unconjugated bilirubin, and this unconjugated bilirubin is taken to the liver through albumin, and inside the liver this bilirubin, unconjugated bilirubin is converted into conjugated bilirubin, and then in the liver this conjugated bilirubin is secreted through the bile and to the intestines, and in the small intestine this conjugated bilirubin is converted into urobilinogens and stercobilin. So stercobilin is passed through the stool, that's why our stool is yellow in color, whereas urobilinogens goes to the blood, and through the blood it goes to the kidney, and in the kidney this urobilinogens convert into urobilin and it goes out in the form of urine. That's why our urine is also yellow in color. So that is the metabolism of bilirubin or excretion of bilirubin. So if any of the steps is having some problem, the level of the bilirubin increased in our body and can lead to jaundice. So generally if this jaundice is taking place because of the lysis of RBC, then it is called as hemolytic jaundice. If this causative material of jaundice bilirubin, and if there is any problem in the liver, then it is called as hepatocellular jaundice. If there is any problem in pouring out the bile into pouring out the bilirubin in bile, then that is called as obstructive jaundice. So this is some flow chart you can draw for the pathogenesis of jaundice, and the points you can write like this. When red blood cells have completed their lifespan of 120 days, or when they are damaged, their membranes become fragile and prone to rupture. As each red blood cell traverses through the reticuloendothelial system, then its cell membrane ruptures when its membrane is fragile enough to allow this. Then cellular contents including hemoglobin are subsequently released into the blood. The hemoglobin is phagocytized by the macrophage present in the reticuloendothelial system of spleen and bone marrow, and split into heme and globin portion. The globin portion is a protein, is degraded into amino acid and plays no role. And two reactions then take place with the heme molecule. Then the heme molecule metabolism is important. The first oxidation and second is reduction. So the first oxidation reaction is catalyzed by the microsomal enzymes heme oxygenase and results in biliverdin, that is green color pigment, iron and carbon monoxide. Then in the next step there is a reduction of biliverdin, and a yellow color tetrapylon pigments called bilirubin by cytosolic enzyme biliverdin reductase take place. This bilirubin is unconjugated free or indirect bilirubin. This bilirubin is unconjugated as free or indirect bilirubin, and approximately 4 mg of bilirubin per kg of blood is produced each day, and majority of the bilirubin comes from the breakdown of the heme from expired red blood cell in the process just described. However, 20% of this comes from other heme sources, including ineffective erythropoiesis and the breakdown of other heme containing proteins such as muscle myoglobin and cytochromes. So now in hepatic events, the unconjugated bilirubin then travels to the liver through the blood stream. Because this bilirubin is not soluble, however it is transported through the blood through the serum albumin. Once it arrives at the liver, enzymes at the liver, it is conjugated with glucuronic acid to form bilirubin dichlorokinase, or just conjugated bilirubin to become more water soluble, and the reaction is catalyzed by the enzymes that is called as UDP glucuronide transferase. This conjugated bilirubin is then excreted from the liver into the biliary and cystic duct as a part of bile. Intestinal bacteria convert the bilirubin into urobilinogen. From here, urobilinogens can take two pathways. It can either be further converted into stercobilinogens, which is then oxidized to stercobilin and passes out into feces, or it can be reabsorbed by the intestinal cell, transported into the blood to the kidney and passed out in the urine as the oxidized product urobilin. Stercobilin and urobilin are the products responsible for the coloration of feces and urine respectively. So it is because of the stercobilin and urobilin it gives color to feces and urine. So this is the pathogenesis or pathophysiology of jaundice, which mainly take place because of the process of excretion. There are the steps involved in the excretion of bilirubin out of the body, and we know that this bilirubin comes from the metabolism of heme part of the RBC. So in that steps of the excretion of bilirubin, if there is any kind of deviation or error and that leads to increase in the blood bilirubin, then that condition leads to jaundice. Thank you, students.